because cells are the fundamental units of life. I want to spend a little time now talking about just what cells are and how important they are. And we're going to look at some of the features of cells. Let's take a look at this picture here. Whoops, we're going to look at it a little bit larger. That's what I'm trying to do. So let me see if I can increase the size. Here's a typical animal cell. And these cells, which are actually types of cells that belong to higher organisms such as our own bodies, are called eukaryotic cells. Such cells have complex organelles, and you may have learned about this in other places in your life. Organelles include things such as the nucleus, as well as other things such as the Golgi apparatus, the mitochondria, the endoplasmic reticulum, and there's other kinds of parts of the cell. So in this class, we're not going to really look that specifically at cellular function, but I do want you to think about what are some major features of cells that all cells share, and what are some differences between animal cells and plant cells we're going to get to in a minute. So one major feature is that all cells have what's called a cell membrane. Okay, I'm going to go back here to the whiteboard and see if I can point out the cell membrane here. You can see that it looks like this wrapping all around the cell. All cells have a cell membrane. Okay, all cells have a cell membrane. And that means that bacterial cells do, plant cells do, animal cells do, fungi cells do. Any organism that you can think of, other organisms that we're going to talk about this semester, they all have cells that have cell membranes. Okay. Now there's other features of cells that only certain kinds of organisms have and others don't. So let's take a look at some typical animal cells here. And these are, in fact, human cells. And these cells, whoops, let's try to blow those up a little bit. These cells are cells of the inside of your cheek. Okay, so if you, and we're going to do this in lab, if you take a swab and swab the inside of your cheek and plate it out on a microscope slide, add a little stain, you will see these cells. And you can clearly see the nuclei of these cells right here, 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 as well as the cell membrane. And so animal cells don't always have a fixed shape because the cell membrane is kind of soft and pliable, and so cheek cells can come in different kinds of shapes. All right, so when we're looking at different kinds of cells then, such as plant cells, and I want to do that next, put up a diagram of a plant cell here. Oops, there's our cheek cell. Cheek cells, those are animal cells. Take those away. All right, and let's go find our eraser. Still getting used to this program a little bit, so forgive me. All right, so here's our plant cell, and one of the main features that plant cells have that animal cells don't is they have this cell wall. All right, so the cell wall gives plant cells a rigidity that animal cells don't have. Okay, so remember those cheek cells, they were soft and pliable and come in different shapes. Well, plant cells, such as these guys, and these in fact are onion cells. I know I can get here. And these onion cells, as you can see, have sort of more rigid shapes, these rectangular shapes. And in fact, because this is three-dimensional, they're actually cube shapes, right? To think about a volume here. But these rigid cell walls are often joined together between different cells. And that, let me get this writing out of the way here. And that you can see the nuclei within these cells, the cell walls. Does this mean they don't have cell membranes? No, because plant cells also have cell membranes. In fact, the cell membranes are sort of plastered up inside next to the cell wall. Okay, and you could think about that as if a balloon was blown up inside of a cardboard box. So that balloon would be plastered up on the inside of the cell wall.